Yeah, we're sort of second day here into Morocco now, and first full day today really in terms of having the majority of the team in. We're still waiting on a couple of guys who are arriving in tonight. Obviously, we sort of had, I think, 6 players playing on Sunday, and so a few of them have already arrived in camp. They were able to fly first thing this morning, and they arrived sort of mid-afternoon, but there was a few who weren't able to get their flight from their location until the afternoon, so we'll arrive this evening. But by this evening, for tomorrow's training session, we'll have a full roster in camp. Well, I think ultimately the big objective, doesn't even need said really. It's about qualifying and going back to our 3rd African Cup of Nations in a row. That now has to be the standard that we're sort of judged by, because not only have we been to the tournament in recent years, but we've performed quite well. And so the team is improving year on year. We've got a lot of young talent breaking through into the team. And so the expectation is to go above and beyond what has happened before. But we've been placed in a tricky group. Probably this qualifying group is as difficult as any as we've had in recent years. And so, starting with Comoros and Tunisia in a double-header, Comoros, top of their World Cup qualifying group, Tunisia also top of their World Cup qualifying group. So it's a difficult, first 2 games. But we also know that, look, the majority of our guys are fully fit. There was only a couple of guys available to us who we didn't call up because of fitness issues. Everyone else is playing regularly. They're having big impacts in their team when you watch what they're doing in their club sides. They're getting assists, they're scoring goals, they're keeping clean sheets. So the guys are in good form. So it's about getting a good start, and it's about taking the country back to the African Cup of Nations.
Qualifiers. So how are you going to prepare the team for these challenges that lie ahead?
Well, a lot of it's really about, balancing us being confident in our own abilities. I always say that if you've got a group of players like we have with a lot of, a high technical ceiling, tactically very developed at their club sides, that we have to say, look, it's 70-80% about us. If we play to our maximum levels, doesn't matter who we're playing against, whether it's one of the minnows of African football or one of the historical giants, that we would be able to give them a very good game of football. So it's about us doing what we're good at, but also just being aware of the threats that both Comoros first and then Tunisia will bring into the games, because they're both good football teams. They both come in confident, and we've just got to make sure that, we get the ball at our feet, we get the ball to our match winners as often as possible. And if we do that, I think we can have a very good afternoon on Wednesday, and then hopefully when we get to the weekend against Tunisia as well. That balance of connectivity between the players. When you're at your club side, you're with your teammates every single day, and you almost know without thinking or without actively thinking what your teammate is going to do. At international level, like, these guys haven't seen each other on a football pitch since June, and for some of them who were injured in June, the last time they played together was at the last AFCON in January, so 9 months ago. So it's about getting that connection sort of working well again, and then just really making sure that we have the freshness in the legs. There's always there's a feeling that you need to do as much as you can before an international game, but if that results in you arriving at kickoff feeling tired, it's counterproductive. So it's about covering the key information with them, getting them that sense of togetherness again, and then making sure the freshness is there in the legs when we kick off on Wednesday. Look, I think this group's going to be a very tight group. I expect all teams have the ability to take points off each other. It doesn't matter whether it's us v the Comoros or even Madagascar versus Tunisia. You will see results that maybe you don't expect over the next 3 months in this qualifying group. Because like I've said, all 4 teams are very competitive and come in very confident. So getting a good start, really, it takes a big step towards qualification, and that's what we're aiming to do. If for whatever reason that isn't possible this week, I still think, given how tight the group will be, it won't be a huge problem. But our focus is on starting well, and hopefully that means taking 3 points against Comoros. I think it's just about our players being, switched on and focused and really bringing their A game for 95 minutes every match day. Because it really is, if you switch off for any period of time against any of these opponents, they have the ability to punish you. they've got the ability to score goals. So we've got to make sure that there's no settling into the games. We've got to go from the very first minute and be prepared to play at a high level. And equally, we can't take our foot off the gas later in games. We've got to, if we get on top of teams, we've got to make sure we finish them off. So I think that mindset really has to be, first and foremost in terms of killing games off.
I mean, this game...
I think part of it with international football, and our approach is always, we begin as a staff long before the camp actually kicks off. Even before players had arrived here in Morocco, they'd already received, a presentation about what we were looking to be doing this week. So all of them received that on their phones, their iPads, their laptops, and were instructed to watch that on the flight coming here. They also received video sort of montages of all the players they'll be playing directly against. So, for example, someone like Yankuba Minte received the video clips of all of the Comoros fullbacks so that he knows when he gets the ball what the player he's going up against is likely to do in the game. So all the players got this. So they came in, before they'd even set foot in the team hotel, they already had a lot of information about what was expected of them this week as a team and as individuals, but also what they will be coming up against in the games this week. So we went out on the training pitch today, really knowing exactly what was needed. And it meant then, if you've got greater understanding, you've got a better chance of making good decisions. And so I think the players are well prepared tactically for it. I think, the spirit in the camp's good. It always is when the guys get together, because they're a close-knit bunch. And so they always like being back together. So I think that camaraderie, that team spirit is very high as always. And so everyone's just eager. It's a short time. 2 days is nowhere near enough time to prepare for a football match. But equally, Comoros are in the same ship. So, we've just got to go out and make sure our important players have a good day on Wednesday. Absolutely. For us, we feel it as much as the Gambian football fans back in the Gambia, because we want to be playing at home. We want to feel their passion, to feel that energy that they bring to the games. That's not possible right now, but, everyone feels it. No one's detached from it. The guys go... whilst nobody goes out and searches out sort of information online or whatever, that's not the players' focus. It's about the match. But they do talk to their friends and family and stuff. And so, it would be naive of us to think that a family member who's maybe reading A, B, and C in the newspapers or whatever it happens to be isn't mentioning that, to their son, their husband, their boyfriend, whatever. So I think the general feeling from back at home definitely reaches the players here. And so if the supporters are confident and supportive and rallying around the team, even at a distance, that's felt by the players. And that good support and goodwill of the nation towards them is really appreciated. We've not got too many issues. There was one little knock in the first training session today, but we don't expect that to be too serious. I hope you don't mind, I'll not mention which player. We obviously, well reported, I think, was that we had a little bit of concern over Ibrahima Darbo last week, who had an injury that we felt would keep him out for a number of weeks, but actually after sort of the initial few days when the pain subsided, it wasn't as bad as we first thought. And so he is flying in to join us. He'll be here in the coming hours. And again, that shows that passion to play for the national team. That it didn't look as though it was going to be possible for him, but when it became possible, he wanted to be here, he wanted to compete for his place. So that's what we want from the group of players. Obviously, the big one that probably people are now starting to be aware of is that Omar Colley won't be around for the first of our 2 games. Everyone's aware he's just sealed a new move to PAOK in Greece. And just in terms of his work permit and stuff there, he won't be joining up with us for the first couple of days, but he will be available for the Tunisia game.
Coach,
Look, every job I've ever taken, I've taken partly because of the pressure. If I have various options on the table, and I said this when I first came into this job, was this is a job where people have expectations. It's not a development program with the Scorpions. It's about, whereas if you'd come into the Scorpions team maybe 20 years ago, there would have been less pressure, because they hadn't qualified. They didn't have, whilst there was good players, there wasn't 50 good players. Whereas now, there's certain players are very disappointed at missing out on squad selection, let alone team selection. So, the competitiveness is very high. that pressure is welcome, because I think when you're under pressure, you perform your best. But look, I'm a guy that always is, I'm leaving no stone unturned to find top performance. Doesn't matter if we were playing in front of one person or in front of 2 million Gambians. It's that pursuit of being perfect, that pursuit of just top performance that drives us all on. So, we put ourselves under pressure. We want a top performance this weekend. And, we're looking forward to the games.
Finally,
it's been very good so far. Everyone's very welcome. Whether it's been going to the grassroots, obviously this week at Johnathan, tournament matches, in the first division and second division matches when I was here the first time earlier in my spell, and just even interacting with the coaches and the general public, everyone's been very welcoming. I think you can feel everyone's passion for not just the national team, but for football in the country, and that real desire for any of us who come in contact with the national team to try and help raise the profile of Gambian football. That's very important. So it's been a very good start. But look, if I steal a quote, I think, from a much more experienced manager than me and Jurgen Klopp, he said, it's all well and good what people say when you start, but it's more important what they say when you finish. So we're at the beginning of this journey. Yes, it started well, and yes, everyone's on board, but we've got to make sure we're working extremely hard so that in 3, 4, 5 years' time, people are as positive then as they are today.
Any final remarks?
Just in terms of the supporters, we can't wait to see you again in Banjul when we get back home to play eventually. But whilst we're apart, continue to support the team, continue to watch the games on the TV, continue to get together with your friends and family to be part of that journey, even at a distance. And then once we're back home, we look forward to seeing you in the stadium.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.